Welcome to the Driven Moms Answering Adversity interview series, Stories of Success Through Setbacks from Mom Elevated. Together, we can shine a light on how normal challenges and struggles are, along with how we can overcome and rise above them. Today, we have Arlene with us to share her story, and I'm so excited. I've heard little tidbits so far, but do you want to go ahead and get us started and tell us a little bit briefly?
Sure. Hi, I'm Arlene. I am originally from Canada. I grew up on a really small farm in the middle of actually nowhere, and then I immigrated. I met an American and I immigrated to the States. And from there, um, worked in mortgage and escrow industry. And yeah, and then eventually had babies and all of those things that come with trying to juggle work and being at home and being in a busy work environment, market shift and stuff. And I was lucky enough to have job security, but with that came a lot of pressure with not being able to be home. So I decided to take a layoff and then spend a year at home with my kids. And I didn't know what I was going to be able to do. I mean, I kind of always thought I'd have to go back to an office. That was, and I grew up with a working mom and my dad was a farmer and really hardworking family. So I kind of was used to that. So being home was a little bit of an adjustment. I had a 1 and 3-year-old at the time. And so you're just learning. It's so interesting because people want to stay home, but then when you're home, there is a lot of lull time sometimes, and it can also be really lonely. And I think that's the thing, like work provides this social atmosphere for adults that it creates some pressure.
Yeah.
And it creates a busyness, but you do get that adult time to then mix with your home time. So that was a little bit of a shift to then stay home. And I was trying to figure that out. And so I picked up a camera. I got a camera and, you're just taking pictures at that time, not to date myself, but it was only Facebook, no Instagram or anything. And I just started taking pictures of my kids. And I had a pretty big church network and, former work network. And I just started taking pictures, posting them on Facebook, and people were like, "Oh, can you take our pictures?" And I'm like, sure, like why not? So let's go meet in a field and take photos. And one of my best friends is a graphic designer. And so she was like, "Oh, I'll make you a logo." And I'm like, "Well, I should get a business license. And how does this work?" And I don't really know what to do, but that's the thing. Taking action was like one of the biggest things that I did. And looking back, like if you told me then what I would be doing now, like I'd probably be paralyzed by fear. You're just going, I can't do that. But, one step at a time and taking action in those little steps. I mean, I changed my logo and my pricing 3 times in 1 year. And it's okay, right? It's okay to not know. It's okay for something to look dated and then you're going to update it. Eventually got a website but I started just with Facebook. Like I didn't know. So, with that, it kind of just snowballed. And then, you are starting to dial in pricing and you're starting to dial in, okay, while I'm editing, I was learning a lot live. There was some editing and photography classes live online. It was a platform called Creative Live, and you could watch for free if you watched live. Yeah. Otherwise, you could pay for the courses. So I was just trying to dial in, like, what's my sales strategy? Do I have a sales strategy? And I did take business in college, but like I had worked in this mortgage and escrow company doing all sorts of things. I had moved countries. A lot of things are different here. Like healthcare, I did a lot of just office operation stuff. So it was very specific to what I was doing, not really, photography or anything. So I was learning like this whole new thing of self-employment and, okay, well, now I have to pay taxes and all of the fun things that come with being an entrepreneur. Yep. That you never knew you always wanted to do. So that's what I say about photography. It's what I never knew I always wanted to be. It was a photographer. Yeah, which is really
Fell
cool.
into your lap and unfolded in the right ways. You know, I found it really interesting and so true. I also tried to be a stay-at-home mom at one point in time. Like I always thought growing up, that's what I wanted. If you would have asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, it was a stay-at-home mom and a singer. So cliche. But I once I had the opportunity, I was like, I don't
No.
think I can. Your mind goes a little bit crazy, and you're like, I need something for me. I need to feel fulfilled. And I think it's wonderful. I have a friend who absolutely adores being a stay-at-home mom. She's great at it. She
Yeah,
likes to read. That is her happy place. So she just reads all day. And I think and I mean, obviously all the other mom things that go along with it, because she also has
right.
3 kids, so a lot on her plate. But like she is amazing in that role. I was not. I feel like I did it to the best of my ability, and I probably could have continued doing it, but I felt like I needed something else, and I really wanted to do something else. And so it's kind of funny how that breeds necessity of some sort. I started doing piano and voice lessons, moved into other
Yeah,
things, and it just kind of, as you allow it, like you said, to be okay, to try things, to shift, to move, to let it be messy and muddy and kind of ugly at first, and
right.
just go through all those pieces until it fits together in a way that you like is
Yeah.
really, and I feel like it's like always evolving. It's always shifting and moving and the pieces are changing. So
Absolutely. I mean, the term then was mom tog, a mom who picked up a camera and started to do this side hustle. And I mean, at first that's what it is, right? You're like, oh, something that's kind of creative and it fills that time, that void, makes you feel like you're contributing and you've got something else for your brain, but not too busy.
yeah.
Um, I think the learning curve was a lot. So I think I did spend a lot of time like, I'm like, how does this even work? And what are these editing software things? You know, you're just kind of trying to figure out these platforms, which have exponentially changed since then too. But yeah, like think just finding that it's never balanced.
Yep.
We say balance, but finding a balance where you have something of your own, but I'm not rushing to an office. Like I literally thought I was going to have to go back to an office job. And like I haven't since, and it kind of still blows my mind. And my daughter said she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And she goes, well, I said, well, what do they do? And she's like, they do photographering. And I said, oh, okay, okay. That's because that's all she's really seen me do, right? So it just kind of gives a perspective to what they think. That's all they know is me juggling with a flexible schedule. Like,
Yeah.
yes, I work a lot of weekends, but I also get to take them to the doctor's appointments and the dentist appointments during the week that I wouldn't normally do. So
Or go to any of their activities or their things at school or programs,
right.
or you get to be there all the
Yeah,
other.
and it doesn't mean you never miss anything. Like that, I think that's unrealistic with any job. If you have a 9 to 5 job, you're missing certain things. And if you have weekends or this flexible schedule or when the weather, like you're at the mercy of the weather, you miss other things. But I like the flexibility that if someone's sick, you know what, something can be shifted or put off generally. I would say 80% of the time.
I'm
But
so glad you said that, because I have friends who also work from home who are like trying to do literally all the things. And I'm like, it's okay to say no. It's okay to not be there. Like my son had tennis this whole month, and I went to one tournament. He had 2 tournaments and one day where we could come and watch them, and they were just playing around. But I went to one tournament because we had other things going on during that time, and he was like, you don't need to be there. I don't want you to watch me anyway. It's fine. So, like, but his grandparents showed up and watched him all 3 days. Like,
yeah,
so he had somebody there, and it's okay for them to come back. He came back and he was so excited to show me what he won when I was not there. You know, when I told you that I said I was going to win, I did. And here's what I got. And so, like, they get so excited about
yeah,
certain things. Like, it's okay. I always tell them, it's the fear of missing out, but no matter where you're at, you're going to miss out on something. So
yeah,
whether you're missing out on an interview, whether you're missing out on, a tennis tournament, there's always going to be something. And it's okay for them to learn that there's a juggle and there's a choice and that you're there for the bulk of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there'll be things that you can go to
Yeah.
that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to, or maybe the other parent. Like, so since then, I have gone through the journey of building my business and also through the journey of divorce, which I think is also, when you're an entrepreneur, can be really, really scary because you don't know, like, can I do this on my own? And I will say, I think I do feel like I've had a heart for people and their stories, but I think divorce made me a lot more in tune with people's stories. And, whether it's weddings. So I photograph a lot of weddings, then they have babies, and then they have a family, and you kind of see the progression. And you also see, as a mom, you've got these kids on you and you're trying to tend to your husband, and there can be some distance that comes. Like, family photos are not always comfortable because parents aren't always connected. It's really hard with little ones. And I get that because I've been there, but then also the journey of pain within your story. So whether you're working out something that's hard, or they've gone through divorce, or they've lost someone, like, there's grief. And I feel like I'm able to just, with my clients, say it's okay. Like, you don't have to be happy here. Like, or we can just move to the kids and we can still do something. Like, there's ways to be creative with their story where everyone's not just super happy all the time. Like, if you don't feel like holding hands, like, you don't have to hold hands. It's okay. Like, everyone's at different phases. And I get that. And I think I'm able to see couples where they're really connected and it's really inspiring. And then couples that are really struggling. And I understand that, because divorce is, the journey of parenthood and the journey of even a couple from marriage all the way through. There's lots of ups and downs. And, the decision to move through divorce was not easy.
Yeah.
And it does change a lot of things, but I think it made me see people and their connection differently, and then shoot them differently, and just allow them to be in a space to share their story. I mean, people show up and we're shooting in a field and they share these deep things that are going on with them.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. And yet I am so privileged. Like, I get to be in this little space. And a lot of people still want, like, a smiling photo and all that stuff. And we do all that. But my goal is to always provide variety, so we capture all of the different emotions, kids' different moods. They're not always happy.
Oh, yeah. Some of the best memories are the ones where they're throwing fits or crying, though. Like, some of the best photos to look back at are like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, do you remember this? This is so fun. I think that's beautiful. And I think there's something real and raw in capturing that. I feel like is more beautiful sometimes, especially in photography, and capturing those moments and really, honoring them for what they are.
Yeah.
I think it is beautiful. So,
And even if they want to fake it,
yeah.
they sit there and they tell me, and I feel like they feel heard, but I have a connection with them. Like, a lot of people I'll go for coffee with, or, hey, let's meet for breakfast. Like, I have clients that I'm like, yeah, they're a client. I don't know. They're a bride. I just met a bride for coffee on Sunday. Like, for just because, like, it's a
Yeah.
connection, and I really enjoy that person. And I get to meet all these people, but people have struggles and a story, and it doesn't even have to be about photography. Like, at that point, it's like who they are, but I see them different through my lens, I think, and then it kind of branches out. But
That is a
it's
true talent for sure. So I love that. Listening to you talk about it is fascinating because not everybody will be able to do that. Not every photographer will be able to do that. So I think that's really, I mean,
yeah,
I'm glad
thank
you
you.
fell into photography because I feel
I
like
know, that's something I
it's
never knew. Well, and
right.
what's fascinating to me too, like, lots of people want to photograph a certain genre, and I love that. I have always taken on the approach of life, because I meet a couple and then they have a baby, or they have friends at the wedding and they want family photos. I booked a corporate client yesterday and she's like, I need family photos too. And so we're going to do her family photos. And there's this whole funnel, if you
Yeah.
want to look at it just from a business standpoint. And when you connect with people, like, then that funnel kind of grows, and referrals and everything else. But I basically have, my retention is really high, and I have about 70% of my business is repeat business, which is amazing. I don't have to be doing all of the advertising to get new clients all the time.
That's so amazing. Well,
So
with
that,
that, then, what do you think the biggest adversity is then that you have answered throughout this journey, and how did you answer it?
well, I think like a lot of markets, it's a saturated market, and it can feel overwhelming, with technology really advancing really fast, and you're trying to do this by yourself. And then you've got all this technology, and now there's Instagram, and now there's ads, and there's this and there's that. And it's like, oh my gosh, how do I keep up with all of this? And then styles, like I'm not a trendy photographer, like trendy editor, but I'm on trend. Like I think you have to stay on trend, but I'm not with the wind with everything that's like, with the grain and the coloring. Like I've stayed true to myself, but you've modified it as the year goes on to stay on trend. And I want clean classic photos where people look at them in 10 years and they don't have some huge, brown filter on them or something. And yet that's great for some people. Like there's a space for all people here. And that's the thing when you're an artist, or, you could have been deterred because, oh, there's already podcasts.
Yeah.
There's already a coffee shop. There's already this. Yes, but you have a voice and I have a voice and a connection with people that's different than someone else.
Yeah.
But again, the whole quote, comparison, sorry, is the thief of all joy. Sorry.
No, you're good.
It can be true. You can really get in your head, and now even more so with social media where you're scrolling and you're like, well, I'm not like that, and I'm not like this, and it's okay. Like to really surround yourself with people that do encourage you, and that also you allow yourself that it's okay. But I have my moments too. Like
I feel like there's challenges that come in waves. There's always going to be a new challenge that you come up against as you answer. But I feel like also because you do go through them periodically, I feel like when you come across a new one, it's a little bit easier because you've already gone through so many of
yeah.
them. You're like, okay, I can get through this. We've been through this one. It's okay. Do you feel the same? Like,
Well, yeah, and I think too, like I said, if 10 years ago you would have said, okay, you're going to be divorced, you're going to be mummying on part-time on your own. We share back and forth, and
yeah,
that's great. And you're going to double your business, and then you're going to learn all these things. And now I'm building a course, and you're going to sell a wedding course and all this. I would have been like, you're crazy. I'm not doing all that. Like, no way. I'll never be able to do that on my own.
do you see anything from like, because since you went from such a different area from mortgage and escrow to photography, do you find anything that you pull from that kind of industry that is helpful in the photography side of things, or is it just so completely different?
Well, the work is different, but do you know what? The bottom line is customer service.
Hmm.
And really, like, photography is this much photography, and it's customer service. It's answering your phone. It's replying to a text. It's not waiting months and months and months to get photos back to people. It's turnaround time. It's communicating with them when you're going to be late. It's all of those touch points. And escrow mortgage is the same way. You're buying a house. It's one of the biggest purchases of your life. You want someone to answer the phone. You want someone to let you know when you're signing papers and you're closing and all the money is transferred. Like, super important. So customer service is big in any area, I think. So, and communication.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. What do you think it is about entrepreneurs then that makes us continue on when it gets challenging without giving up, throwing in the towel, going back to mortgage and escrow, going back to a 9 to 5? What do you think it is about us that we're like, no, we're gonna continue. We're gonna push through. We're gonna double our business.
Well, I think you've got to love what you do. Like I love being able to work alone, but I have such a good balance of working with people. And yeah, obviously I think it has to be, for most people, it's got to be financially worth it too. But I think just the flexibility of the art, but also I love the schedule. Like, it's a rat race, and yet it's so flexible. Like, I love the flexibility, and that every day is different. It's not. So, I think there's a level of routine in everyone. Like, I get up at 5 a.m. I do the same thing. I work out. I do this. I do that, like most mornings. But there's still a variety within my day.
Yeah.
And the variety of people that I meet. And I don't know. Every entrepreneur, I guess, is different. But I think you have to love what you do.
Yeah. Yeah,
Otherwise,
so that when it does get crazy and hectic, you are okay with it. You're going to handle it. And then when there's downtime, you're like, it'll be fine. It's going to be busy again in a minute.
yeah. I actually heard something yesterday though, like there, you do have, you can't be operating at full bore all the time. We would burn out. And sometimes it can be like, I don't do well in the rest periods. And everyone's like, you need to rest. It's okay to rest. And we all tell each other that. And it's great. Same with being a stay-at-home mom. Rest when your kid naps. Yes. And
Yeah.
do we?
No.
No. It's really hard. But I heard this the other day. There's space when you rest and you have these little periods of downtime or maybe a lull, like January, February. I kind of take that time to recoup and travel and do things. But if you don't have space, then there's no space for the magic or no space for a miracle and a new idea to be born. And I will say that this year is where this course kind of was born out of, just
That's really-
having a little bit of downtime. And I'm like, I want to teach people, like, it doesn't have to be that stressful going into weddings. Like, weddings are scary, but they don't have to be if you prepare. And this is how you can. And I'm like, mulling it over. And I'm like, I think I could teach people how to do this. Like, it doesn't have to be the way everybody does it, but there's certainly nuggets in there that could be really helpful.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that's amazing. Oh, what a great course that's going to be. No, I think that's so true to remember as well. That space really does allow for, like you said, the magic to happen. Or I feel like it's also high achievers have a really hard time with any downtime. But once I started having kids too, I realized that when you're juggling your own emotions and other people's emotions, your schedule and other people's schedules, it becomes so much so fast
Mhm.
that when you have a business on top of it as well, and you have clients and you're juggling all of those things, just having a moment to breathe and think, it's amazing because you're like, "Oh, I have had all these ideas. They've been flowing. I just had to push them
Right.
aside. I
Yeah.
couldn't give them attention. I couldn't even write them down, so they were fleeting, but still on your heart." And
Yeah.
so like, it does become kind of heavy until you can finally take the time to not even necessarily flesh it out, but what I call brain dump, and you just let them all out, you write them all down, you get them
Right.
out of your brain, and then you can come back to it when you have a minute, and it's really transformative, I think, in
Yeah.
your business because it does allow it to expand in a different way.
Even with the
Create
emotions, like to be able to breathe. Like I took a minute the other day and I was like, my daughter's graduating and I'm like, wow, like, and she's kind of my talkative one. And I'm like, oh, I'm really gonna miss her. Like it kind of like hit me. And I just had this moment of emotion. And I'm gonna be photographing a lot of seniors. I have a lot of clients where their kids are turning in like seniors this year. And I'm like, just to be really present, like, how are you feeling? Because it can be a lot
yeah.
and such a big change for them and for you and your household, your dynamic, all of the things. So sometimes just like taking a minute to, you don't have to be shooting all the time. You can just like connect with them.
Yeah. And to allow them to feel because there's a lot of them that probably haven't even dealt
Yeah.
with it. Nope, not ready. I'm not ready. I haven't even thought about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my son is only 13 and I'm already like, it's too close.
Oh, it really does happen fast. But it's like anything, one day at a time. Someone asked me, like, what's your 5-year plan as an entrepreneur? And I'm like, I will say this for it doesn't matter, any job, flexibility.
Yeah,
Because a 5-year plan, it's always going to change. Look at COVID. No one planned for COVID. You can plan all you want at 13 for 18, but the one day at a time is really key. And you just handle it as you do. And being flexible and having a flexible attitude, that gets you farther than, okay, I'm going to plan this out. And if it doesn't happen, I'm going to be completely stressed out. Well, that doesn't
right.
work.
Right.
So,
When 5 years ago he was 8. So I mean, you think about it in that perspective. His 5-year plan for 18, there's so many variables from 8 to 13 changed so much. So I can't
right.
even so many possibilities, so
And
many.
he'll do so much more than he even thinks. If you look back to 5 years ago in your business, you're probably at such a different point and amazed at what you can do. And in the next 5 years, who knows, right?
Oh yeah. This wasn't even a blip on the radar 5 years ago. I never would have thought I was interviewing people. So I never would have even thought that I would be videoing, let alone an interview series. So it's incredible to see what can change in that amount of time and being open to it and receptive to it and allowing it to happen. With that, what overall takeaway or lesson do you think that other mompreneurs would be able to use specifically from your experience and what you've gone through?
Well, taking action, I think is really huge. Just doesn't have to all be perfect in order to then start or to do it. But success just doesn't have to be all monetary. Like, I'm developing this course, but it really, yes, I want to help. I mean, the goal is to help people. And sure, income would be nice, right? All of those things. But the personal growth, like the imposter syndrome, the fear, the being on camera, things that, like you just said, like I never thought I'd be on camera, new things that I've now grown in just in like 2 months. I'm like, wow, okay, like that's worth it. So like success, maybe it's just a personal growth thing, or that you're nervous in front of people, but you're going to pick up a camera and go photograph, two new people, and that's going to be out of your comfort zone, but there's growth in that. Like you can't even put a price tag on that.
I think that's amazing. Well, not only that, you're probably usually on the other side of the camera all the time. So being the one that's
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna be on this side intentionally is it's kind of scary sometimes, but also exhilarating. Like it's that mix of and then when you get it done, it's that anticipation, still a mix of scary and exciting. And I'm excited to see how it goes for you.
Thank you. Well, that's something else to identify. Like I do branding photos for, like, I get them taken and stuff for myself too, because I do think it's important. I mean, this is as a photographer. I mean, there's lots of things with different businesses, I'm sure, but I'm then in the position of my clients. And so it helps me then when I photograph them, like, I'm going to guide you. Don't worry, I can help you, because no one, it doesn't matter that I'm a photographer. If someone's photographing me, I don't know how close they are with their lens. I don't know what they're shooting if they don't tell me. I don't really know how I'm coming across on camera. And so guidance is key, right? Everyone wants natural photos. Yes, but you still have to direct people because no one knows what to do. And that's what, when you feel that, you're like, okay, I want my clients to feel comfortable in
Yeah.
front of the camera. And then to trust the process too. That's the thing about repeat clients. They then know your process and they trust you. And that's everything. I mean, as you know, with your business, my business, most businesses, you want to trust that you're getting a product. You want to trust the person who's delivering it or creating it or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, I feel like this year the buzzword is integrity, but I feel like it is for a reason. Like there is a reason why integrity is so important in so many businesses.
Absolutely.
It's so huge and it does make or break. And I feel like now we've gotten to the point where there are so many fields that are so saturated that that is really a defining factor for a lot of things when you're like, I want to come back to this person because they were amazing. And what a unique perspective to be like, yeah, I'm okay being photographed because it gives me that perspective of my client and what they're
Yeah.
going through. So,
But
man,
it helps to empathize, right? But yeah, there's a lot of people that I'll book and I'll be like, yeah, I reached out to like 5 people and only 2 people replied. And I'm like, wow, I mean, that's too bad. Like that's just not great. I want to reply, and I don't really go by, oh, you should wait this many hours. I don't really play games. I mean, I guess I'm like that with when I was in the dating world. I have a boyfriend now, but when you're yeah, I don't really play games. It's just reply, don't reply. Let's just be upfront here and you
I
know.
don't, what's the point of that? Well, and then you have to keep track of it all. No, thanks.
Yeah. No, no. But you want to follow up and follow through and be professional. And that's really important, I think, with your clients. They know they can get a hold of you. And of course with boundaries, like I want to plug into my children too, and I want to have dinner in peace and all of those things. I mean, those are just boundaries, but there's still a level of customer service. I feel like that has built my business more than just pretty photos.
Yeah, yeah. No, I would have to agree, actually. Same. Boundaries are really important. I actually just had a post about boundaries today, and how learning to say no as a people pleaser is really important. But it's also knowing where those exceptions lie. And like, not everything is an emergency. In fact, most things are not an emergency, but just letting them know, I heard you, I'll get back to this tomorrow, can make or break. I mean, it just puts them at ease and they know that you're going to take care of it and you've heard it. Most people just want to be acknowledged. That's really all it is. I have that conversation with my kids all the time. Just acknowledge that you heard and I'll go away.
The principles of life, how you are as a friend, as a mother, as a partner, really lead into your business because it's just that. I want to be acknowledged if I'm out with a friend. I want to be acknowledged if I'm reaching out to Amazon and I have an issue with my order,
Yeah. Yeah.
like you said with your kids. That's part of teaching them.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I love that so much. Well, if people want to be acknowledged by you, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you, be in your space, learn more about you, or work with you? I'll have
So I
I'll have the links in the description too, but just in case
oh,
so.
yes, I have a website, arlenechambers.com. I have an Instagram, Arlene Chambers Photography. Um, both link, I mean, I have all the links on there to link up to each other, email, text. I don't know. I don't know. Put text.
Pretty soon there will be a course as well that you can take.
Yeah, so that will be coming out. So, basically I would say Instagram is probably a great way to have that or get on my email list.
Mhm.
So on my website, the subscribe button. I also have a link to my wedding site on there. I have another part of my website goes to a wedding. So it's all about weddings and engagements and the blog and everything. But there's a subscribe button on there so they can get on my email list. And then there will be newsletters and what's coming with the course. And the course is really your no stress wedding photography system. So, how to approach a wedding with your clients to prepare them and pressure proof it and be able to shoot it with no stress.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
What a great tagline.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Arlene. It has
Oh, thank you
been
for having me.
fun. Yeah, absolutely. Anytime now.
I love
But
it.
I always like to say your story is inspirational and your willingness to be open about it is very much appreciated and needed in this space. For those of you out there facing your own adversity, know that you're not alone. That's the whole point of why we're doing this, why we let you
Yeah.
know that you're not alone. Tap into the stories, listen, hear, know that you are not going through these struggles by yourself. We are also
Yeah.
constantly.
Yes.
And when you need an extra hand or a mind for brainstorming during your mompreneur journey, we would love to work with you as well through the Mom Elevated Society, which now has Gift Yourself Grace quarterly. I combine the two. It's so much fun. It makes sense because we meet monthly anyway, and then we get a reflection point every quarter to go over and see what's working, what's not working, and why. So you'll get monthly check-ins for the goal setting and assessing, and so much more for both your business and your mom life. Until next time, keep shooting for the stars.